Welcome to another biddle where I gotta silence my phone first.
Yeah, I should do that too.
What's going on?
What's happening, Rocco?
After I silence my phone, I'm good. Well,
That was painful.
I know it's a long time to sit there with like
Staring
silence, with
at the screen.
nothing.
In silence.
And there's Derek.
So welcome to Biddle, all.
Hey. Yep.
Hi, Derek.
There he is, Red Robbo.
Red Robbo.
Red Robbo. And we lost Joe. Joe, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, Joe, can I tell you? I'm sorry, but you sound much better on that laptop. You may not have looked better on that laptop, but you sounded better.
That's what I get for buying a cheap microphone.
No, you probably just need it closer to you. That's all.
Yeah,
It
I
sounds
gotta
better
get a
when you-
boom arm or something. Because I mean, this
Dude.
thing's 6 inches away, and if it's still sounding bad, there's something wrong.
You kind of sound like you're in a tin can.
You
Well,
sound good
thank
when
you.
you're
Nice
close
to
to
see
it.
you too, Barb.
I have to make up for last week. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, Chip is in the house. Chip, what's going on?
I don't see him.
He's there. So, anyway, yeah. So I tried to install OpenSUSE 15. Well, I
Oh.
actually didn't try. I did install it, and I figured I would try their KDE version because I'm used to GNOME still, and I think KDE hates me, dude. I really do.
Maybe it's trying to tell you something.
But I loved KDE, and I started my channel on KDE, and yet every time I go back to it, I have the weirdest problems that nobody else seems to have. Like, everybody can run KDE, and they say, man, this is great. This is awesome. It works great. There's no issues. And
Those
yet,
people are lying, though. Those people
oh
are.
my gosh, dude. I mean, it's one issue right after the other. Like, the graphics will reset. Like, the first thing, I wasn't in OpenSUSE 5 minutes before the whole graphics reset. I didn't have no panel, no nothing. You go to do the logout from KRunner, and the KGreeter crashes, and then it starts up again and crashes, and immediately starts up and again and crashes. It's a nightmare, and I don't understand if it's just due to my hardware or what, but it drives me nuts because I used to love KDE.
Did you try the Gecko Linux version? Because that is OpenSUSE, but they kind of like fixed some of the weirdities of OpenSUSE, and they do have a KDE version.
I didn't try Gecko.
You should
But-
try Gecko because that was my OpenSUSE experience, and it was great. It really was.
Yeah, but I think it has more to do with KDE than it does. I mean, this is Kubuntu. This is this is Neon. I mean, this is all the KDE versions, and it does the same thing to me constantly. And yet, like I said, I talk to everybody else, and they don't have these problems that I have.
Yeah, I think it's your hardware, Rocco.
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
Well, it's
gotta be-
not old hardware, man. It's like newer
Yeah.
hardware. I don't get it.
Maybe it's just the combination of what you've got. It may not
could
be any particular component, but maybe in that configuration, it's doing something that KDE doesn't like.
What I don't like is all the problems I had with KDE with the screen tearing and artifacts and things crashing. People were telling me, oh, well, just open up the NVIDIA settings and click this on and slide this off and, write this to a config file. Like, I don't have to do that in GNOME or XFCE or LXD or any other desktop.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to.
Right,
Be
exactly.
able to load it and install it and go, and then you can tweak it to the way you want things to work.
Right.
But the basics should work, and that was always been my objection to a lot of them, other than like Ubuntu or Ubuntu Mate.
Yeah.
Or Gecko Linux Mate was really good, but then I also used the Tumbleweed version, which has a more up-to-date kernel.
Well, before we go any further, if I cut out or something happens to the stream, we are having bad thunderstorms here right now. So
Oh, okay.
Right.
But anyway, so I got OpenSUSE and I wasn't in it probably a half hour, and I was like, you know what? I'm done with it. And nothing against OpenSUSE. It's just I was just having so many issues with it. And I go back and I try to boot into Budgie, and Budgie it's not booting. It's just with the logo going around and round and round and just going across saying it's not loading. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. I know that I did the installer right on OpenSUSE. I know I did it right. And I'm like, I just can't figure out why Budgie's not loading. Well, this happened to me before with Budgie when I was on Budgie the last time. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, you know what? I had Pop! OS on a USB stick, and Colin, I watched your video, did the partitions, installed it, and it was great. And then
Awesome.
And then I did my install script, and it wouldn't boot either. It kept going across with it, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this can't. And then it hit me. Because I was installing OpenSUSE, I had shut off my 6 terabyte drive because that slows the installer down like 10 minutes. The installers hang up on this drive. So I have that auto mounted. So that's why Budgie was not loading, because it was trying to auto mount this drive that wasn't there. And that's the same reason, because it's in my auto script to install it in that. So that's why Pop! OS then decided to do the same exact thing. And so I'm like, I paved over Budgie, and there was nothing wrong with it.
I think we've all done stuff like that.
I hope Dustin's not watching this stream right now.
I already told him. He was mad at me.
And let's be honest, Rocco, you've nuked and paved a lot of distros that there was nothing wrong with.
Right.
Yeah,
He's not
you're right.
happy with any of them.
I am very happy with Pop! OS, actually. It is the best GNOME implementation on the market today.
Better than Fedora?
Well, Rocco,
Fedora is more polished than Pop! OS. I mean, not polished, but it feels more professional. But yeah, it's definitely the best GNOME implementation out there.
Nice.
Yep, gotta say it.
Well, I'm currently running Ubuntu LXQT, the Cosmic Cuttlefish, and that's
ready?
1810.
Right.
And that's what I'm running now. So it's actually working not too bad. And I'm quite surprised, since the last time I used it, it's actually running really well. So,
people call me unstable. People call me unstable, but I've got nothing on Colin. He's running a pre-alpha on his machine right now.
No. I would not do that. I don't care.
But
I tried. I couldn't get it installed.
There's something about that. It's that risk taking you like, isn't it? To run something that's
Maybe.
It's got to be.
They know it's going to break. Yeah,
it's fun for you.
Well, it's actually. Well, I've been wanting to test this out for a while, because I've had no real success in installing it, and actually had a lot of problems installing it under UEFI, because it just kept coming up with errors.
Mhm.
So it installed flawlessly with legacy. So there must be, like you say, it's a daily build. So, I mean, there's going to be issues. So that's one of them. So hopefully they can sort that out, or it is sorted out in the future. So.
Didn't you use with Ubuntu 18.04, you were using the daily builds on that until it went release version, didn't you?
Yes, I was using daily build for that for a while. Yeah. So, but I'm using Ubuntu 18.04. I got that in front of me. I'm running the other one on different screens. So
Pop! OS is better.
What about the pop picks? Have you tried the pop picks yet?
What are the pop picks?
Well, it's not top picks; it's the pop picks.
That's what I
At
said.
the pop shop.
Pop picks.
It's some
Love
of
the alliteration.
some of the curated apps, or some of their best apps that they put up on the pop store. So yeah, I found that quite amusing.
Man, does pop include snaps?
I didn't check, actually. But
Good
my
question.
auto install script puts that on automatically, so it wouldn't help if I checked right now.
Okay, yeah, you had already had it installed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this sound any better?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I had to adjust the volume setting. I don't know what I did. I went into the laptop and I was trying to play with settings, and it's funny because then when I logged into here, it's like everything was changed in my main one. So I brought the volume back up. I didn't want to overmodulate either. Like if I bring it up, it's probably even louder.
Yeah, you
Um,
sound fine.
Just for the record, everybody, Joe was feeling a bit yellow earlier.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Well, now it's green. And I took out GUVC or whatever, and now it turned green. So there's got to be something with the whatever's in Linux Lite that's causing it. Because I put cheese in there to think that maybe I'd see if the camera would at least show. Because I don't know what they're using for a webcam thing in there. They've got all these names. I know, Derek, when you did the review earlier, you were correct in saying, why did they name some of the stuff the way they did? Why don't they just name what they're supposed to? I have no idea what their native webcam viewer is in here on this.
Apparently, there's a setting somewhere you can tick off the use of generic names in the menu. I didn't search for it, but somebody commented there is a setting somewhere that will change it back to the actual program names, because that annoys me. I can't stand when people name something text editor. Well, which text
Monte does kind of say.
I want to know what text editor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just the right click on the menu button, Joe. You right click on the menu button, you go into the menu settings and you can turn off the generic. It's I can't remember which tab it was under, but it might be the first one that comes up. Can't remember. But then you change all the names back to normal.
Robert, you get your mic working?
Is this working?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, fantastic.
Welcome.
Pulse audio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
We know. We all love it.
We're there.
So, what do you run, man?
I'm using Bunsen Labs.
Are you?
Very nice.
So, Debian stable with OpenBox, basically.
Nice.
Yeah,
Love me some OpenBox.
that's right. It's your fault, Derek, that I'm using it in the first place. Down to your channel and all your excellent tutorials.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
So, Derek, what did you think of Linux Lite?
I liked it. I
I do too.
think it's a very clean, polished distro, well put together. I like how it's geared toward Windows users. You like how they named like the computer icon, my PC, and the trash was recycle bin. You know, they really tried to mimic kind of the old Windows look and feel, maybe Windows 7, that kind of era.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't try the 4.0 yet. I tried the, what was it, 3.8 or I don't know, something like that. And it was really nice. I had it on the laptop, actually.
Now,
But,
what's the difference between Lite and a Ubuntu? Not much. I mean, the only difference I can really see is
Theming, basically, isn't it?
yeah, theming. The theming in Linux Lite's a little nicer, and you get 2 extra years of support on Linux Lite because they're doing a 5-year support instead of 3 years like Ubuntu is doing.
But you get the Lite apps, correct?
Yeah,
With
yeah,
Linux
and there's
Lite,
some
so-
actually pretty nice apps. The Lite
Yeah.
Tweak Tool and all that. So it really makes it easy to install third-party stuff like Spotify, Dropbox, all that stuff. So,
Nice.
Anna, who am I converting? I'm not converting anybody.
Nope.
But yeah, so I really, really like Pop OS. I think everybody should try it at least once.
Do you like it better than what Elementary is supposed to become? Or is that a dirty word?
Well, I have to wait.
Tough question.
That is a tough question.
well,
So-
Elementary's not being released like tomorrow. He's got another couple of months to run Pop before.
Before he has to
Right.
make his commitment to
I liked Budgie, okay, and Budgie was running fine, but I really did miss the full screen menu. I mean,
Yeah.
the GNOME menu is awesome. I'm sorry, I love it. So
If Budgie could put that inside of
It would be
the full
perfect.
screen menu, that would be an absolute perfect. Yep, I agree. The full screen menu is something I just like too. I just can't get away from it. And when you're running full screen and you're watching a video and you just hit that button, you can see the time. You can still watch your video. You can look at everything that's open. It's for some reason it's just got that. that feeling of knowing that you got that button to press and everything's there to see.
Mm-hmm.
Something about it, yeah.
Although Elementary doesn't have that full screen menu,
No,
it's still.
But you can.
It has a good
tear
enough
it apart
menu.
and then put something in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which defeats the purpose of the whole distro.
I can't wait till Juno comes out. I'm just saying. Maybe I'll stay on. Maybe I'll be able to stay on Pop! OS until Juno comes out. But that is like.
That's not happening.
I thought you really, really liked 1804 GNOME. What happened?
Well, I did, but you know what? When to be honest with you, when I was running 1804, I was trying to run it as vanilla as I could. So I didn't install Dash to Dock, and I didn't install Top Icons Plus, and I didn't install these extensions to make it really nice. And I probably should have, or I'd probably still be on it. So. Because that was one of the issues that I had was there was no system tray icons. And I tried to get away from using like Top Icons Plus because I knew that, at some point it's going to go away. And some of the add-ons or the extensions are already not working in GNOME. Like one of my favorites was Activities Configurator, where you could hide the Activities button, you could make the panel transparent, you could do all these things, and it's kind of, you have to install special things with it. It doesn't work out of the box. So it's already starting. But so I was trying to run GNOME without the extensions, and it's kind of probably a bad move.
Yeah, GNOME without the extensions is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I only use 3 extensions on GNOME. That's Dash to Panel, the GNOME menu, and the user theme, so I can change the shell theme. That's it. But only those 3. But I find it quite useful just with those 3, and don't need anything else really.
Yeah, I do something similar, except I do Dash to Dock instead of Dash to Panel if I'm using GNOME.
Well, Dash to Panel puts all your running indicators at the bottom as well, because that actually takes the top panel, integrates it, and then you can put the Dash to Panel only at the top or bottom. I think they're changing that. Currently I can't put it left or right, only top or bottom. I think they're making changes.
Well, one thing I didn't realize with Dash to Dock was you could actually make it appear like the Unity interface, where it has that clear shadow around it, which is really nice.
Doesn't look as good as Unity, I don't think.
No, it doesn't integrate quite the same way with the panel itself, because Unity was really polished in that area. But
really, Unity was all about that launcher. I mean, the Dash to Dock is an extension. I mean, it's not really part of GNOME out of the box. Yeah. No,
that's right. Yes. Yeah, I agree.
See, that I think is the one thing that bothers me about GNOME, is that you still have to add all these extensions just to make it so that you can modify it to what you want.
Yeah, but I don't have a particular problem with that. Like, maybe you should be able to do it out of the box, but as long as I can do it without like taking like 2 years to set it up, I'm fine with installing extensions. It's the same in the same sense as Firefox. Or installing extensions. Some people use Firefox bland without extensions. I use probably 10 add-ons for Firefox.
I think I have like 3.
So I don't. It's the same concept where you're used to that. You're used to that whole idea of adding extensions in order to get more functionality out of it.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, if they're trying, like with Ubuntu, if you're trying to get new users, new to Linux users, extensions could be, they have absolutely no idea, because you don't have those in Mac OS. You don't have them in Windows. I mean, I don't want to say no, you don't have them in either of those, but if you run Firefox, you've got extensions. You run Chrome, you know what extensions are. But I don't think the average new to Linux user would kind of like get that idea that you have to, you can put these in to make it do all these other things.
Well, of course they wouldn't, because GNOME has been hiding the idea of extensions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They have hidden it in Ubuntu, and it's not in your face and it's not there for people to know.
Right.
But I think that's because they want people to run the GNOME desktop as it comes out by default.
Mhm.
I think that's the agenda they're pushing, and I don't know whether that's right or wrong. I mean, that's just the way they like it.
That's
But that's how Unity was.
Yeah.
So I think they just want it to be like Unity and be familiar to everybody, I suppose. So I don't know.
I actually like Unity. I don't know why everybody always gets so upset about it.
No, Unity's good.
It is.
And there is
really...
a good implementation of Unity too. I did a video on that, and it's quite a few people interested in the Unity desktops still, I must say. So I don't know if that was still a test or I can't remember whether it was a test ISO. I think one of them was, and one of them was a stable, I think. I can't remember now. But
well, I'm pretty sure you can install the Unity session still.
Yeah,
On
I
1804.
think it's in
Yeah. You can.
yeah, that's correct.
But I was afraid that I might mess something up. So I didn't want to do it.
I think you're good on 1804. And if you install it on 1804, if you go 5 years with support, I mean, it's good till what, 2023?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, something like that.
Unity's going to be around for quite a number of years still. So.
Yeah.
Well, they had said they had come out and said that it probably wouldn't be the same. Like it wouldn't functionality. It wouldn't. Everything won't work quite like you were used to it working, but it's still there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, the one I downloaded is pretty spot on. Actually, it's not too bad at all. So, but that's a Unity distro. It's a Unity ISO to install.
Right.
It's not installing it from the terminal after installing stock Ubuntu. So this is a Unity implementation itself. So, and just correct me if I'm wrong, Rocco, but when you do use extensions on Ubuntu, and once you get them installed, they should be pretty stable, right? Unless you update to the next version, then your extensions can break. But once you're on the same, like 1804, if you remain on 1804, those extensions should be pretty stable, right?
As long as you don't update GNOME.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yes,
it has to do with not just the 1804, but the actual GNOME updates, like what version of GNOME it's going to be.
Right. But they don't update the GNOME version on a particular long-term support, do they? Or they do?
They won't, no.
No.
No, but let's say if you went from 1804 to 1810, then maybe those extensions don't work because that might be a later version of GNOME.
Yeah, a lot of them don't work because I've tried that leading from 710 to 1804 and so forth. So they didn't work. Some actually extensions, some of the developers on the extensions do keep up to date with it, but it must be pretty hard for those guys to do so.
Can you all hear me?
Dustin's in the house, but
Dustin.
don't tell him that I hopped, okay?
We won't say a word.
Lamer, we can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Lama.
Yep.
Lamer, are you on Linux Lite 4.0?
Yes,
He
I am.
just installed.
First day on it.
There you go.
What do you think?
It's all right. They still got that bug with the volume switching to show it notifies 2 volumes. It just 3.8 is a little better than 4, but it's the new. Everything's still new. You know,
Yeah, well, I watched English Bob's video on Linux Lite, and even the updated video. So the driver versions of 3.9 are. No, what is it?
I'm on a
3.90?
different driver version. I'm on the stable version of it.
Yeah, the 3.90 drivers kill it, I guess.
Yeah.
3.96 you got to go to. So, but that's
That's
really
what I'm on
bad. And I don't know if that's specific to Linux Lite or other distros as well, but that's pretty bad.
Can you hear me, Rocco?
Dustin, we can hear you.
Mm-hmm. We can see you too.
I've got 3.9 drivers in Debian, which works fine.
Yeah, so I don't know why they would kill Linux Lite.
Yeah.
That has to be specifically to them.
Well, I got this. I took out the other stuff I added in. I took out cheese, and I went into another. I went into a peer-in, just into a room that I use with some other people, and it was green, and then all of a sudden it faded and it got clear, and it's what I don't know what they're using in here for our webcam feature, but that's kind of not good. Where if you're gonna want to add something else in, and then it's going to mess it up like that, especially if you don't know what the native webcam software is that they're using in here.
I haven't found any native webcam software on my distro, but I haven't tested out the webcam because I don't have a webcam for this desktop or anything, just the laptop.
Yeah, and while this is a laptop, Dustin, I actually was going to join on Linux Lite tonight, and I was literally yellow, which matches their theme.
Joe was as yellow as that sign behind Barb.
Yeah. So I mean, I could probably join on it now, but I don't think I want to bother with it. I do like it, but it still seems to me like it's got some quirky things. And it told me when I put GUVC View in here that I was running 2 webcam programs at the same time, but yet I can't figure out what their native one is in here. So I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit more. I mean, overall,
I tried to type down webcam on the menu, and I tried to type down cheese and all that. I couldn't find nothing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what's in here, but it says it's running. It was running something, and it straightened itself out as soon as I took the extra software out. So I don't know.
So who has tried out the Linux Mint beta?
Nope.
No, I haven't checked it.
Rocco, why do you ask all the hard questions?
On it right now.
Well, I haven't tried it. Have you tried it, Dustin?
1 hour ago, two hours.
No. I don't need that. No.
Stop it. So what do you think, Matthias?
First impression is it really looks nice.
Which one did you try, cinnamon or
Cinnamon?
I don't think there's a huge amount of fixes from what I can see on. Well, there's a lot of back end stuff I think they've done, but features I don't think there's a lot of features in the Mint 19 from what I've seen. Would that be right in what I'm saying, or
features as in new added features, Colin, or
sorry?
Are you talking about newer features that they may have added or
newer
not?
features?
I mean,
it'll have Cinnamon 3.8. I know that.
And it's GTK 3.22, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yes, it has got that. Yep. But I think they've done a lot of like speeding up the opening of the apps and all that sort of work. I think behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Muffin.
Yeah.
Improvements to Muffin. Window animations were refined. I don't know what that means exactly, but not a ton. No. But I think more of it had to do with the new Cinnamon version.
I think so. Yeah.
From what I love, I'm reading an article here, and they're talking about how there's no data collection.
Yep.
Do you feel like that's a shot?
It's a shot, but then they went to say, I forget where it was, but they did go on to say that there's nothing wrong with, what Ubuntu's trying to do with, it's not like they're spying on you. So I don't know what they were trying to say with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless it was just because people who still have an issue with it, they're letting them know, well, hey, we're not doing that. I mean, maybe it's just as simple as that.
Well, they were going to have to answer that question. Might as well put it out there up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They realise there's going to be a backlash, so best just not to get involved in the first place by just leaving it out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I've been trying to get what's his name, Clem, onto Destination Linux for I don't know how long, and I don't think he'll ever be on. He just ignores the emails, and I don't know.
What did you do to him?
I didn't do nothing to him. He's not a very public guy. Like, you don't see any interviews with him or anything. So
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, I don't know if that's his bag or not. So
yeah, right. I think he's probably just happy doing his thing in the corner kind of thing and putting out what he's putting out.
Yeah, he just wants to write code. He doesn't want to be on a podcast.
Okay.
Always, you know.
So, Dustin.
Yes.
Are we going to play some more CSGO then?
Yeah, sure.
We were playing CSGO earlier. We were playing a couple different games. It was pretty awesome.
So So in Alex Qt, they've got the Muon package manager, which I think is the Qt version of Synaptic, is it? Would that be right?
Yeah, but I didn't think. I thought somebody had said Muon wasn't being maintained anymore.
Well, it's in here and it works.
Yeah, I haven't seen Muon lately.
Yeah,
Somebody used to use Muon. Who used to use
It was
Wasn't it one of the KDE distros that used
It was, and I can't remember who it was.
It's in Ubuntu, isn't it? 1804.
No,
Oh,
is it?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
might
so
have been.
there is the alternative to Discover.
oh yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah, but there was another distro a while back that used to use Muon as their main package manager. I can't
Yeah.
remember who it was. Oh well.
But I'm not big on KDE distros. Rocco would know.
Might be SUSE.
No, I don't. It's not SUSE. SUSE uses Yes. They have their own. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
yet
seen
another
Yet another system something.
thingy from 1984.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used Yes.
Actually, not. I mean, you have to really know what you're looking for when you use that.
Well, it's the same with Synaptic and Debian. I mean, if you open up the Synaptic
is
package,
easier. At least they give you. I think Synaptic at least is a little easier.
I think Synaptics even looks better.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The other is pretty ugly. And then it's like, are you sure? Are you really sure?
I mean, that's pretty bad when Synaptic is like better looking than your software.
I guess I'm not the norm here. In my installation scripts, the first thing I do is rip out the package manager. Well, not the package manager, but the GUI.
the GUI package manager. Yeah, I usually if one's not installed, I never install one. So
No. Well, I actually specifically have it specified in my deployment scripts to rip it out.
mm-hmm.
Well, I have it in my scripts to. Yeah, never mind.
Rocco, how's your hard drive in your script?
Stop it. You know what? I was trying my script out, right? And I redid it, and I redid it again, trying to get it to go right. And here it kept adding and adding and adding to my FS tab, the drives. Like I had like 12 different entries of the same drive.
Oops.
Hey, who knew? Carl Schneider in the house. Mm-hmm.
It's called flow control, my friend.
Well, I don't know this stuff, dude. You have to teach me this stuff.
What's wrong with just installing the stuff as you go?
Nothing's wrong with it. Are you talking like why do we automate the installations?
Yeah.
Mostly because when I'm doing testing, I'll reload my system on a moment's notice, and there's a couple of things. Like one, either I forget stuff I had installed or I forget configuration. I can blow away my laptop and be up and running in 20 minutes with a fresh reload.
Yeah, fair enough. That's okay.
Colin, you know how you did the symlinks
Yeah.
to your drive?
Yep.
Same situation where it makes it that much faster to reinstall.
Like, I guess the best way I can put it is, so I have all my data syncing through cfile. I have all my dot files in Git. I have a couple of encrypted offsite backups, and then I have a couple of installer scripts. So as soon as I check them in, I keep all my dot files in a separate folder. I have a script in there that symlinks them all into their proper place, cleans out the old ones, and then just starts installing all my packages. And then probably within 15 minutes, it's all done.
Nice.
Who's sharing that file? I think it was Ryan, was it? Is he sharing that, or did he get it from somewhere else?
Well, he got it from somewhere, and he added stuff to it. It's on his GitHub page. So I took it for me and modified it, and I use it just for the programs I want.
Right. I suppose I don't use that sort of script because when I install things, I suppose if I make a video about it, I want to, check that the software center works, check that Synaptic works. And I suppose that's why I do it all that way, the long way, to make sure everything does work, I suppose. So,
well, I don't think it's more for that, Colin, because if I was going to do a video on something, I would definitely do it manually as well.
Yeah.
But it's more for, like, I have set programs that, like, this is my main machine. I got set programs like Audacity,
That's right.
Kden Live, OBS. They all got to be installed and they need them. So all of them are in that script. Pretty much I have every program that I need in that script to automatically install.
So your script is working all right, but what's happened with the entry for the FS tab? Why is that multiplying?
Well, because I was running the script multiple times trying to, when I was working on it, to see if this one would, to get the code right so that it would run through all the way without any error. So I kept running it over and over and over.
Oh, okay.
Kept putting in new entries. Michael in the house.
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
I have to say, Matthias has a fantastic shirt on.
Yeah, I modified it too. Look.
Nice.
I love it. Oh, that is so awesome.
Nice.
We need that. We need them printed up, Michael.
Actually, you just have to have the duct tape printed up.
Yeah. Send them a strip of duct tape.
Nice. That's it. That cup too.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Pete, what's going on?
My desk is a mess.
Okay. Well, last week you came in, you didn't say anything, right? And then at the end you said, "Hey, I got a new Dell XPS 13." And that was it. Like
One of those?
yeah, those.
All
one
right.
of those.
Yeah.
So what do you think of it, man?
It's I have it's my laptop that I just take with me everywhere because it's super portable, long battery life.
So you didn't get the high DPI version, did you?
No,
The one I just inherited is high DPI, and it's brutal.
It's brutal.
It is.
What's your battery life with that, with the high DPI?
Maybe 6 hours at most.
Oh,
But that's after, just trying to set it up, like, it's too big at 200%. It's too small at 100%. So then you go through the whole exercise of scaling fonts and doing your content. And I don't know. I just went back to 200%. I don't really care because it's my secondary, but it's just, I would never, if I was buying it, I didn't buy it. My work handed it to me. I would never buy a high DPI display on a laptop. Monitor for a tower, sure, but not for laptop.
Right. What size screen is that? Like a 13-inch or something, is it?
It's the 13-inch, but because they have that infinity display bezel, they claim it's kind of got the screen real estate of what would be classified as a 14-inch because it includes the bezel and everything. So the screen size is actually quite sufficient, but it's just the high DPI aspect of it, just between killing the battery and just things being either a little too big or just way too tiny. So
That's not a Budgie issue, is it?
No. It's a scaling. It's because most of the desktops don't deal with the fractional scaling. So,
Right.
That was
Actually,
a trick question.
Actually, the high DPI stuff worked. So I was pleasantly surprised, considering no one on our team has any high DPI equipment except for myself now. So
Yeah, that's pretty bad if you can't work on it because nobody has it. That's pretty bad.
well, that's what we're hoping to change for the next cycle, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I was reading on Google Plus. I think it was it was Ike, a post from Ike. I think it was. He was saying that he's taken the Budgie desktop back under his wing into the thing. So what was the Budgie desktop doing? Just running rampant around the internet or something?
I don't know. That seemed like it was a shot at the Ubuntu Budgie people.
yeah.
When I read that, it's like,
What's
Okay.
going on there?
Well, I'm Switzerland. I love everybody. Everything's awesome. No, so
Everything is awesome.
you have to pick a side.
basically the desktop was split out into its own project. The idea is that we were supposed to be an upstream consumer. They were a downstream consumer. They were a downstream consumer. The two groups didn't really, if you look at a lot of what happened in the desktop in the last year or whatever, we've been elsewhere and we we didn't really contribute enough, and I believe he just wanted to bring it back into Solus.
Right.
I mean, and that's his prerogative. That's cool. That's whatever. It doesn't change anything for us. We're just sort of where we were before. And, you could, some of the applets and stuff, like our stuff's written in Python, and he doesn't want to accept the Python stuff. But
he's a C++ guy, isn't he? He's a C guy or C++ or something, isn't he?
Well, he's C at his core, but I mean, like Budgie 10.4 is written in Vala. So,
yeah, he just doesn't like Python.
Yeah,
he doesn't like Python. Okay.
Yeah, no, and whereas like a lot of our applets were written in Python, because the developer who wrote like 99% of them, he's a Python guy, and that's all he does. He's like he's a gentleman out of the Netherlands, and that's what he's writing. He just wrote a whole bunch, and
they're awesome too, I must say.
If he wasn't writing in Python, he probably wouldn't have written them. So I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't want to get all political and stuff like that. It's another one of those things that you could easily get blown out of proportion, and you'll hear about it in like Linux news. And it's another one of those things that so-and-so's upset with so-and-so. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm Switzerland. Everyone's awesome.
Anyway, how about that self conference coming up, huh?
Yay! So speaking of Budgie Desktop,
yes,
I'm going to be at self, and you like that switch back and forth twice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be at self. I'm going to do some. I'm going to do a talk. I'm going to do some streaming.
What are you going to do a talk on?
Budgie, obviously, he brought it up.
Budgie, making Budgie via Kdenlive.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I want to know what's wrong with Python. Why do the Budgie guys hate Python?
I mean, the answer is kind of simple in the sense of like hardcore developers look at Python as a bloated beginner language.
Yeah, but that's why it's great. Anybody can write
It's also
something.
not a compiled language. It's an interpreted language, and that slows it down.
That's pretty much the bloat part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can technically compile Python. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah.
But like the mainly is like Python is it's the best first language. It's a great language in general, but it is heavier than others, and it's in terms of C and C++, it's a lot heavier.
I wouldn't run like a core desktop on it, that's for sure. But I mean, it depends on the context of the app. Like most desktop apps don't need the performance. But you also, granted, you don't want the bloat. I mean, you could start arguing about Electron all you want, but
oh yeah,
there's like different sliding scales of everything, I guess, and everyone's going to
JavaScript's the best.
You know what? It's got its place. It does. I would argue that maybe it's not on the desktop, but it's got its place. And I mean, everyone's got their own preferences. It's like, I'm sitting here.
It's got a great place in the trash can.
There you go. Michael's obviously got his opinion.
No, I'm actually a web developer and web designer and stuff, and JavaScript is heavily used, but it's also heavily used.
Yeah, to the 10th degree.
Yeah, to the extremes, and every framework is on top of another framework, and it's like, oh, we got to have this layer on this top of this other layer. It's like there's a point where that can't work.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I always tend to go to like the simple ones. Like if you're looking like for like a presentation layer type thing, like I would look at something more like Preact, which is like super small. Like if you're going to have to load that stuff in, go with like the super small stuff. But if it actually brings you some benefit, I guess. It depends what you're trying to accomplish.
This conversation's been good because it makes me understand a little bit more why you've got applets in Ubuntu Budgie, but they can't be sent to the Solus team because they don't want to use that language. So and that. I didn't know that, so that's good to know anyway. But
that's one aspect of it. But I mean, like it doesn't mean that it couldn't be used there. But I mean, because if you look at it, like Budgie Extras is in Manjaro, it's in Debian. Obviously, Ubuntu uses it, and someone's packaged up in the AUR. So,
right. So they could put them in, but they just don't want Python within there.
Yeah, and I mean, there's probably some overlap between some of the applets, and it probably could have been done better, I guess. So
okay, fair enough.
It's also Python is a fantastic language, and it's a lot more powerful than it's given credit for. But every time you add a certain level of power to the Python script or Python program, it adds even more resource usage. So it's like it doesn't have that balance.
It used
right now I'm running a window manager that's written in Python, and I have no performance issues, but it's a tiling window manager, so there's not much to it.
But also, don't you have like a ridiculous machine?
Not really. Ridiculous.
What do you have?
Nothing special. I'm running a
an i7.
No, not even an i7. Just a 6-core FX.
Yeah, and not in like a 550 graphics card.
No, a 1060.
Oh, okay.
NVIDIA.
Yeah.
And no AMD card.
Oh, did I mention that was the other thing about OpenSUSE when I after I got it all installed and then I installed the NVIDIA driver, it just decided to not work anymore. Wayland.
Magic.
Wayland is a thing.
It's the future.
Mm-hmm.
I get the distant feature. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they started working on it just like yesterday. It was 2009. I think they started working on Wayland.
2008, technically.
Is it? Yeah.
And it'll be done by 2038.
To be fair, 2008 was like, to be fair to the Wayland team, it wasn't until like 2011, 2012 when they actually got momentum. Because for like 2008 to 2011, maybe 2012, there was like one dude doing most of the work, like 90% of the work. Every once in a while, some people like the drive-by developers would pop in and do something. It was like one dude. So one dude making his own display server protocol, that would take a while.
That's pretty not too bad considering when you think about it, is it?
Dolphin in the house.
How's it going, guys?
Yo.
Hi, Simon.
Hello.
The Pulse Audio fixer's in the house.
All right.
Did you fix it yet, Simon?
He never told me if he could reproduce it on Debian. He never told me.
Oh my God! So you didn't fix it yet?
No, because I wasn't given enough information to fix it.
Okay.
I'm running Ubuntu, Simon.
You didn't file a proper bug.
So,
in order to file a proper bug, we need to have information about it. We need to have information about it that he's not giving us.
What do you mean, Simon? The best type of bug as possible ever is, hey, it's broken.
So Rose had a question in chat. What language is most Linux operating systems written in?
Well, I mean, the distro core is C and assembly.
Well, it depends because a lot of the Ubuntu startup code was just right from the beginning they said Python everything. So a lot of the stuff is Python. Otherwise, I've seen personally working with things like Xorg and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of Bash scripts. Otherwise, like Michael said, it's just C and C++ and some like core Linux code. Yeah, that's assembly.
Mm-hmm. Most like C and C++ is like the go-to, like for the bare bones core stuff, and also assembly, but obviously not as much as the rest.
Because my daughter is considering doing some coding, and she's going to go to uni probably to learn it. So, what would be best advice to give her to learn?
The newest languages. Because those languages are important, but they're more legacy important.
Yeah, which ones are they? What are they called? C is it or?
C is the more of a legacy language. It's a very important language. It's a very powerful language. Very resilient and resource clean and all that stuff. But it's not object oriented, so it doesn't have a lot of the potential is the amount of doing the same thing in object-oriented languages is a lot less effort. So you could say probably Go or Rust. Maybe even Python, but...
It depends what you're going to be writing because each language has its strong points. Like if you talk about things like distributed systems, any microservices, all that kind of stuff, you're going to be looking at Go. If you're looking at a system-level language that's newer, you're looking at Rust. If you're doing web development, it could be some combination thereof. You know, it just depends sort of what interests her. You know, if you're going to do low-level system writing or programming, it's probably going to be C or C++ still.
Yeah.
Right. Like it all depends on what exactly you're trying to design. Like Dustin said, some people like Rust, Golang, stuff like that. Some people like Python. You can do web frameworks in Python. You can, funny enough, you can do. I thought I saw a project the other day where somebody did like a web thing in C++. So
that was a concept proving, like, yeah, you should totally not do that though.
Exactly. Like, different tools are designed for different purposes. You can do a website with C++, but you can also do website with tools that are actually decent. Not saying that C++ isn't decent, it's just not decent.
It's not for that.
I think
Yeah, it's
in
not
the
decent
end,
for that work.
Colin, I think in the end, she's going to end up learning several languages, because if she's going for a degree in computer science, they're going to require that at least they do that in the US. I don't know about anybody else.
Sure.
There are going to be several languages. And even, unfortunately, they might say to her, oh, you should learn Java.
That's
but
actually
that's
a huge
personal. Right.
That's a huge base of what the comp sci degrees are. Or Java.
A lot of them are Java and C and C++ when they need to go out.
Right.
It depends
my
which
kids
school you
doing
go
C++
to.
and Java.
Android SDK is the future.
What is, sorry?
No, not true.
You messing with us?
I said Android SDK. Yeah, I regretted saying it after it came out of my mouth.
I mean, the things that she's going to have to learn in the beginning are going to be C and Java and C++ probably. Maybe they may say she could probably learn assembler. That's never a bad thing to know.
The more important
once
thing
I learned it, I didn't use it again for another 30 years.
The more important thing is, though, she's going to be learning the concepts and how to architect and all of the algorithms and all those other things. Really, the languages, like when you get that level and you learn at that level, the languages don't matter. Whereas for some of the it's just syntax. Whereas like hobby developers, people maybe haven't done a comp sci, the language becomes much more important because either it's a matter of preference, maybe a crutch. Like I'm not a professional developer, but so for me, like Go is my sweet spot. I love Go, but I'm sitting here trying to learn C++ just to kind of future-proof some things. And I just want to bat my head with a fish bat. Like I don't like it, but I'm still going forward with it. Like, you know, and then I looked at Vala, and Vala's documentation is like good on the language itself, but like getting going on it, like there's almost
wasn't that the Vala is like no longer really being, am I wrong? But I thought whoever it was who developed it just kind of stopped.
Well, it's the GNOME guys, but if you look at like Elementary OS is pure Vala. Like in fact, I mean, I don't know if what you're saying is completely true, but I could sort of see how people might see that, because just in my investigative searching, like there's no real documentation other than valadoc.org, which the elementary guys took over.
That's what I thought, that elementary was kind of shepherding Vala right now.
They are. And then outside of that, I mean, Budgie 10.4 series is Vala, and I think Vala started as a GNOME. I think it still is a GNOME project, but I don't know who's actually like using it outside of sort of those use cases.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Matthew.
Hello. I just joined in here. I'm Matthew, by the way.
Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
So I just wanted to hop in, mention, I actually tried using Vala a little bit ago, and I experienced the exact same thing. Like it looked like there was a lot of documentation and stuff, but I just had a lot of trouble finding tutorials and guides, and that was where it was really, lacking.
Yeah, it is. And even just like which IDE to use, like if you go to their webpage, like the valadoc.org, and even the GNOME documentation, half of the IDEs that they're recommending, they're like, no commit since 2011, no longer used, depreciated, not, website offline. And it's like, well, okay. So
it
then
kind of actually explains why they're making their own with the code thing from elementary.
Well, yeah. Like, I guess they're just so invested in it that they're just trying. I don't know if they're trying to keep it alive or.
I mean, their whole system is built on Vala. I mean, the Pantheon's Vala, right? And most of their applications are Vala based. I think almost all of them.
Well, wasn't Solus a lot of it originally done in Vala, and then
the Budgie desktop is.
is porting it over to
Yeah,
non-valid.
now they're going to C.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Sometimes it doesn't.
That's not a pun either.
That's the thing is sometimes going and porting something to another language. Having been a programmer for many years, it doesn't always pay. It's sometimes worse than
it's often torture.
The language itself, though, I think isn't really the big question here. I think because the original intent with moving it to C++ and Qt was to get off of the GNOME stack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that wasn't so much around like the languages and things like that. It's the want for a detachment from that stack. So then, you know, you got to go out and evaluate sort of what are you going to build it on and which other pieces are you going to use? Like, you can use something like KWin and then build around that, or are you going to write from scratch? Like, what are you going to do? You know, but
there's other options though. So he could use other window managers and stuff, but like,
for sure.
The getting away from the GNOME stack makes perfect sense because of the fact that the Budgie desktop, if you look at some of the parts of the code where the Budgie desktop has to pretend to be GNOME for it to work, it's like that's weird.
It's just kind of like the browser mask.
Sorry,
it's like the browser mask.
If you want to make the big bucks and work with big companies and states, you should learn Fortran and COBOL and those old.
COBOL forever.
Yes. There's so much software that's still running COBOL. It is amazing.
You know why I chose COBOL over Fortran? Because it was more fun to say COBOL. That's it.
That sounds like a harsh technical requirement there.
Yeah.
Yep. It was more fun.
But in Fortran, you got native imaginary numbers. Don't you forget that.
It's great for scientific programming.
I'm just saying, you do a current circuit chart. I don't know. I'm a civil engineer, not an electrical engineer, but they use a J instead of an I. I don't know.
Right?
But it all works in Fortran.
Yes.
Fortran 77 for the win, baby. All right.
I don't know if this is true, but an engineer told me that Walmart uses COBOL to run their satellite transactions.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me because
and then they created it in the 70s and just kept using it the entire time.
Well, that's one of the things. If you are a COBOL programmer, you can basically ask your price for a salary. Because because
there's like
very few of them left. Most of them have retired or died. Seriously.
Gee, that's exciting. Maybe I should learn that.
That's a little morbid.
You know.
You want to take out the banking system, just go get rid of the last 5 COBOL programmers.
Yep.
Man, there's some truth there.
For some reason, I never learned it. I did learn Fortran. And then went to PL1 because that's what IBM used because they had developed it. Yeah, that was fun.
She just held her head even thinking about it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, that was painful.
It's just IBM.
Something down the road, and they were the ones who provided SUNY Binghamton with all their computing services and everything. Of course, they were going to make people learn PL1 and APL and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My first IT job was working on AS400.
Yeah. Wow. That was the old VM 360s and 370s.
Yeah. Well, they still have it. It's still active. Like they still actually develop against it, which I find crazy, but
well, until those people retire, then they're screwed.
Well, no, but they're still actively deploying like new systems on it.
Oh yeah, I know they are. I know, it's crazy. Oh no, here comes comic relief.
When I was working in IT in the beginning of the 2000s, my boss, he started working at DataSub and with mainframes. And when I worked with him, we went over to Denmark to manufacture, what do you call it? They make all kinds of stuff, CNC machines and everything. And we were there, and he brought with him a lot of. He had a whole basement full of those old machines. He had when companies threw them out, he bought them. They gave them to him. So we went over there, and he serviced a couple of machines there for the company.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get a bunch of old computers like that.
Well, we have in downtown Binghamton. I haven't been there. I don't know why, because I hate downtown because parking sucks. We actually have a computer museum, and they have stuff, from the first punch cards all the way through. It's really kind of interesting. It really kind of is fun.
Okay, to be more specific to what I want, I would like it to fit in my room.
Oh, you mean you don't want to have it like water cooled and
or a big
all
giant
that stuff
mainframe?
and
No, I'm okay. I'll take
the size of
Commodore
my house?
64, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
A Tandy.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
You can find them. You can find them.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of the vintage computers, like the really old stuff, you have to pay a little bit for those because
now you do.
the people that been holding on to them, especially the ones that still work, they're not going to let them go cheap. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I want it to work, and I don't want to pay a ton for it. So that's why I don't have it.
Michael,
Find
just talk to
some little old
Popey.
lady who's
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Hey,
talk to
Popey, how many of your 20 things can I have?
Yeah. Well, he
I
just
have a
sent one
few in
out
my
to another
basement, not
YouTuber.
little old ladies, but older equipment. It's like, what are you going to do?
He did say he has 3 of those. So.
Yeah, he did. And he just gave one away. And he's like, oh, I'd never be that guy. Oh, guess what? I'm that guy. Let's see if he can 2 times be that guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I'll send him a little nudge.
There you go.
Hey, since we've got a couple of developers in the house, Carl Schneider asked a few minutes ago in the chat, and I wanted to get on it. He asked, what is the problem with X? Why do we even need Wayland? So can anybody...
Security, yeah. It's old, and it's got a ton of not bit rot, but you could, kinda, but it's got a lot of technical debt. It's
just old code that's
that's part of it, but it like the security aspects is very very big in the sense like any application that is installed and running can like look at what other applications want to do.
Okay.
I could drive a car from 1982 as a daily driver. Doesn't mean I want to drive that car.
That too. So like I think you could probably argue that they don't have bit rot because there's been so much development on it over the years, but the technical debt is just mountain.
No,
because like it's pretty much impossible for it to add like a security layer on top. Like
it seems like writing a new display server seems pretty impossible too. So wouldn't it be better maybe just to fix the one we're using?
Not really, because you can't really like fundamentally the design of it is flawed.
And
so
it was the basic design.
They weren't thinking about using it the way that we are for so long with such powerful computers and stuff like that. So like adding an extra layer of security on top of it would be more of a Band-Aid.
Okay.
And it would still need to be replaced at some point anyway.
Well, Wayland might need to be replaced by the time they finally ship.
What are you talking about? You can get that in any Fedora OpenSUSE.
Yeah, you can use it right now with GNOME.
I wouldn't recommend it.
If you don't have a graphics card that's made by NVIDIA.
No.
So am I doing... Okay, so like I said, OpenSUSE, it was working fine. Then I install the NVIDIA drivers and it no longer boots. Am I doing something wrong? Or is that just the way it is?
Well, it's probably because did you pick the GNOME version?
No.
Yeah, it sounds like you installed the wrong driver. If you just uninstalled the one you installed and installed the right one.
I installed the KDE version of OpenSUSE.
Oh, so you have X then. That's interesting. It's possible that you have an incompatible driver versus kernel, but that's unlikely. Was it Leap?
It was
the latest release.
There was
Leap.
the latest. Yeah,
Leap 15. Okay.
That's what he was saying before.
That's interesting. You'd have to do like some troubleshooting to solve that one.
Yeah, Rocco, that's why I suggested try the Gecko Linux Tumbleweed KDE version or Neon version. They've got that. And because I remember way back when I wanted to try something that wasn't Debian, was non-Debian, Michael had suggested Gecko Linux when I was saying, oh, why don't I try OpenSUSE? And it actually really worked very well. And I did the tumbleweed version because it always has a newer kernel. So I didn't have some of my hardware issues. It has a newer kernel, and it's pretty well tested before they release it. So you might want to try that and see how it goes.
What version of the NVIDIA drivers were being installed?
390.
Yeah, so that's what I expected.
390. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was
that's
the
same
even
one
adding.
right?
Yeah,
I think
even
it's the-
adding the PPA. Well, not PPA. In the software repositories, you had to add the NVIDIA thing. Even with that, even though I guess NVIDIA has 396 out, I don't know if they don't have it for SUSE or what. But the latest one adding that was 390.
I just remember Steve English Bob installed NVIDIA drivers this week on
Linux Lite.
Linux Lite. Yeah.
Yes, there you go, on Linux Lite, and one version hosed his system, and he came out with a video within an hour saying, "Hey, use these other drivers." But I can't remember which driver was which.
Yeah, 90. It didn't work on the 90. Same problem as Rocco, and he installed the 96 via PPA, wasn't it? I think that's what he did.
Yep. That could be. I don't remember.
I think the 96 version versus the 90 version has compatibility differences with the kernels. So like it sounds like the whatever kernel that Leap comes with, what I think it's 415.
It is. It's no Leap is 412. They're using
412. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
The NVIDIA 340 is working on Linux Lite.
I forget what the options were. I don't think they offered the 340 drivers when you put in the NVIDIA.
Those are the legacy versions.
Okay, those are the yeah, right. Mike's right. This is one reason why it's so tricky to install NVIDIA drivers on Debian in particular, is because all three drivers, there's a 304 legacy, a 340 legacy, and then NVIDIA driver. And NVIDIA driver is the latest ones. Everything else is, they get updated in Debian. They get updated every time the main NVIDIA driver gets updated, but it's mostly security type fixes and just to bump the versions to keep it in line with the other drivers because they have a detect tool.
Hey, Rocco, did you see that third radio button that said burn it with fire? You missed that one.
I did. That's when I went back to Budgie and I couldn't get in. And the rest is history.
Yeah, but Rocco likes to fix his problems. He doesn't like to hop.
Yeah, I mean, I really like to tackle the problem itself and go the whole blow it away kind of nuke and pave thing. You know,
Right.
like,
He prefers to go head on directly to the forehead.
yes. Apply directly to the forehead, yes.
The other thing that happened with the NVIDIA drivers, I know on the Debian side, I don't know much about other people's depends. The dependencies actually changed on some of the back-end GLX stuff. And depending on how the installer tool is written, it may be looking for a library that's no longer available as well.
Well, there was... So when you got to that point, after you added the NVIDIA repository, you had a couple choices, and I can't remember all of them, but they weren't labeled like a normal, NVIDIA.
That would be too easy.
Yeah, it was like X11 something blah 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 NVIDIA 3. So there was like 8 choices, but when you clicked on one of them, like if I clicked on I clicked on the 390, like 4 of them got highlighted all together. So I guess they were parts to it. And I don't know, as soon as I installed it and rebooted, it didn't work. So
hearing your story about NVIDIA drivers, it just hit me. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a problem with the NVIDIA drivers here on Manjaro, and I want to say it was the 390 driver. I had to go with the latest, the 396 driver.
Yep.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the 390 seems to be causing issues all over the place.
Yeah, sounds like it, doesn't it? Interesting.
Well, 390, I know in Debian backports was the first one that changed the depends. And if I remember right, because I had to change our installer tool to to something a little more. It was a little fancier than it is now. Now it's a little more basic, but it works better. So I guess it's okay. It still listed the library for a depend, but the source package didn't build the library. Didn't build the GLX library that went with it. And off the top of my head, I don't remember which one it is, but it was listed as a depend. It was actually listed as the first depend in the Debian system. So they give you 3 of them that will satisfy the dependency. The first one's the one it installs. It would try to install that, and it would crap out because the library, what was a depend, it didn't actually exist. And they did that in Debian backports with 390. So
That's just an issue of the package existing but being renamed?
No, it's actually a different package. They coexisted in the 384 drivers.
Oh, okay. So they just completely removed it then.
But the source for 390 didn't build it. When we tried building them for our own repos, and we ran into the same problem. It's in the NVIDIA source package before you build it. And so basically, all you had to do was really go through and update some. I don't know what if SUSE has an equivalent of the Debian folder, but the Debian folder has all the control information for the deb package. And we just had to update that and update the tools so that it installed the right thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
we have 390 available from Debian backports, but I'll be honest, I don't know if it works. I don't have any NVIDIA hardware to test it on.
I'm using it now on Debian Stretch. But I had a nightmare with the thing, though, because I upgraded the video card to a 1030. And I tried to install Zoom for this week, and installing Zoom reported that there were missing dependencies. So I then had to go back to a previous card, an old driver, and then go back to the Nuvo driver, and then swap in the new card, and then install the 390 driver after having reinstalled all the software again. So by going backwards,
just love dealing with hardware.
going right back to the start and then rolling forward again seemed to make it work, but it was an absolute nightmare. But it got there in the end, and it works. So.
And I will say the Nuvo drivers are actually not that bad. I have played with them a little bit lately. They've gotten better over the years.
Oh, they're fantastic if you don't want to do any gaming or anything.
Yeah, I'm not a gamer. So
well, to be honest with you, they were not either that KDE version of OpenSUSE was having issues, or it was the Nuvo drivers having issues, because there was all kinds of graphic issues on the Nuvo drivers. So
it could be an old version of the Nuvo drivers then, because the problem with Leap. And the problem with OpenSUSE, in my opinion, is OpenSUSE has a lot of cool back-end technology. They do amazing infrastructure building stuff, but their stable versus their rolling is a very weird. They're so far apart. Tumbleweed is such a powerful rolling distro, but it's too much for some people.
It's too bleeding edge.
Yeah, and Leap is. It kind of makes Debian stable look fast.
Yeah. And why are you using the 4.12 kernel? That's not even an LTS kernel. Why wouldn't you?
And 4.16 is an LTS, isn't it? Or 4.14?
No, 4.15. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it is. You might as well just use the latest LTS, but especially the latest one has the 6-year thing. So
yeah,
why wouldn't you? But I don't know. The QA system, OpenQA is awesome. The Open Build service is awesome. We have so much great infrastructure. It's just weird that some of the decisions they make as far as Leap and Tumbleweed are just kind of so far apart, and there's no middle ground.
Was it just them that adjusted their versioning so that they have some sort of weird upgrade path now if you want to be a paying support customer or something on their workstation offering?
I don't think so, because they changed their structure a couple of years ago, which was a really cool idea that works fantastically. Mm-hmm. They also decided to just make the weirdest versioning number whatsoever.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah,
let's go from 13 to 42.
To 42 back to 15.
I never understood that.
Their reasoning was absurd. Someone made a joke, and everybody liked it, and they used it. And he's like,
Yeah.
He was like, I could veto this, but it was my suggestion in the first place. And that would be weird. Like, no, you should have vetoed it. It should be 14 because that makes no sense. It's like, what are you going to do? 43? You're like, I don't know. It's like, that's not how you decide things, as in my opinion. But
apparently it is.
Apparently it can be. But like, that's not even like the versioning.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's exactly what it's from. Yeah.
Okay.
Like they had so many different versions. They have so many references. So many releases have 42 connected in some way. And they just decided to use 42 in this one. Like the first version of SUSE or something was 42, and it was like, yeah, but in the in the 90s, it didn't really matter what you named stuff and code named stuff, but like now it's
it kind of matters.
Yeah, it kind of matters, but it's more like the issue is that they had some really cool ideas. Like, for example, the integration they have and compatibility layer they have with not layer, but like the level of compatibility they have with SLE is really cool, and that might be why they have such a massive difference between Tumbleweed and Leap. Is that layer connection? Because like you can take Leap and then convert it into SLE if you want to. So
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it might be. Because they kind of said that a couple years ago they decided that they wanted to make Tumbleweed like the main OpenSUSE thing, and then they would base Leap off of SLE, and SLE would be based off Tumbleweed. But that means every time SLE gets updated, it's a very long transition between, when SLE gets a new version snapshotted from Tumbleweed. So Tumbleweed would make like hundreds of thousands of changes before that time happens. So it's just like Leap is pretty old. Like and like when it comes out, the newest version of Leap just came out, and it has a lot of old packages, and they will be there for at least a couple years.
Yeah.
Like I mean, and in the terms of Ubuntu, every 2 years, I mean, at least the packages are up to date at the time they were released.
Yeah, they were on 4.15 a month ago.
Yeah,
SUSE is still on 4.12.
Yeah, and it's just awkward.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about Microsoft looking at purchasing GitHub?
The greatest thing to happen for SourceForge.
Oh yeah, no, and Bitbucket and GitLab.
I didn't actually hear that. So
yeah. Well, there's not supposedly.
It's not official, but there's a lot of news stories out there that say they're in pretty serious talks. So
yeah, and the founder of GitHub decided he wanted to leave GitHub. So there is potential that the new CEO or the potential, like they haven't even decided one yet, but the potential that he wants to leave because he doesn't want to be involved in that kind of situation because he wanted to make GitHub become an IPO and maybe he was overruled or something.
Yeah.
He left like 10 months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, he's still the CEO. He still controls it.
He resigned. Yeah, but he's still there.
He's still officially in that role. They just haven't replaced him yet. So he doesn't have the title, but he has the role.
I know that there's been talks of, I think, 2 different Microsoft people possibly being the CEO if they buy it. So if it's apparently that serious that they're putting names to it already.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would expect Microsoft to put their own people in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, if they'd buy it,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, if they buy it, GitHub would just implode.
Oh yeah, I mean, they would run it into the ground the way they did Skype, and
no, I mean, it would implode automatically. I think at a principle, like most people would just abandon it entirely.
Yeah, I think GitLab would be the one that would probably do pretty decent.
Well, they're already doing decent with GNOME moving to them, right?
Yeah. I think GitLab has the most open source friendly aspects to it, but I think the majority of things will be switching to probably Bitbucket.
Yeah.
Well, but the reason I don't say Bitbucket is because of the fact that the free model on them is for the closed repos and not the open ones, which means all the open source people, unless they want to start paying for it, they're not going to go to Bitbucket.
Well, I'm pretty sure they have both. I'm pretty sure
No, they have both, but you pay for the open ones. They're the opposite of GitHub. That's like, in fact, that's why I have a Bitbucket account. Because I have my sensitive encrypted stuff sitting in Bitbucket.
I have Bitbucket for private repos, but I've never actually bothered to do public GitHub.
Because you have to pay for it.
I'm gonna have to check that out and see.
I'm actually going there right now to make sure I'm not talking out my.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying.
You are, Michael.
No, I just like I prefer the idea of believe but confirm.
You know what? I almost felt like Ryan there for a minute.
That's not right.
The SourceForge actually looks like it might be sort of on a comeback.
It does seem like that, especially now that they've redesigned the site. The site looks better. I mean,
it's owned by completely different people now. So all the garbage, the decisions that they were being made is then like completely just eliminated, and they've taken out the stupid adware stuff.
But I imagine most open source projects, out of principle, they're going to go with something like GitLab over SourceForge or Bitbucket.
SourceForge was like the original open source platform.
Yeah.
There was a Twitter poll. There was a Twitter poll asking that exact question, whether people go to SourceForge, and not that Twitter is a single source of truth, but the poll was overwhelmingly no, that they would not go back to SourceForge.
Yeah, I think that's mainly because they burned themselves for a while. But even though that SourceForge is not, it's not the same people. I think that I think the only way SourceForge would survive and take back the market share is if they just renamed themselves as something else.
New branding is what they need.
For sure.
Source Lab.
One thing I don't really get though is so SourceForge's UI for like Git itself, commits like that. I never understood that because it's like hidden away in some other tab unless I'm missing something. And that was always the downfall I saw.
GitForge would be nice, but I think they added Git as a secondary, because they had this infrastructure and Git didn't exist at the time.
CVS, all the things.
Yeah, no, no.
Hey, just to loop back on the Bitbucket thing. So the free stuff is unlimited private repos and projects and pipelines. The $2 a month is what you got to pay to get unlimited private repos, and that's per user.
So is the opens
unlimited hold on. Yeah, that's private repos too. Hold on.
Wait, so there is Bitbucket
unlimited private
free for small teams, and it says unlimited public. And wait, what is that?
Yeah,
doesn't make sense, though.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, for growing teams, because it says unlimited private repos, but the other one says unlimited private repos too. Where is it here? Unlimited private repos.
Right, it's probably based on like a seat.
But it also has unlimited users on the $2 a month thing.
Yeah.
So it does look like I think maybe it is unlimited public for Bitbucket. They just don't advertise it.
The $0 one is only up to 5 users. If you have a team that has more than 5 users, then you have to go to the paid.
Okay. Yeah, that wouldn't work.
But it still doesn't mention public repos because they explicitly say in their pricing plans private repos. It says nothing about public.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, that by itself would make it. If you have to figure out how to get the repos and how many you can have, like that's like.
Yeah, if it has to be private and you have to have less than 5 users, nobody's going to use it.
Well, I mean, even though they have public repos, I just don't know how they work, and the fact that it's so hard to figure out how they work is the reason why people probably won't use it. But like, if Microsoft buys GitHub, I think GitHub will automatically implode because of out of the principle of the openness of GitHub. If a company buys it that is notorious for destroying things that are good, there's no way people are going to just accept that.
Yeah, the biggest enemy to free and open source software in the history of the free software movement and the open source software movement has been Microsoft. If they buy GitHub, all those open source projects, they're going to leave.
I think GitHub will keep a ton of open source projects on GitHub. I just think those will have already be the ones that were abandoned a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I think anything that's active will just abandon entirely. But yeah, GitLab is probably the best option. But like the GitLab non-self-hosted version is somewhat limited as well.
Yeah,
So
I was looking at it today. Yeah, they don't offer much for free. Seems like everything about it that's good. The nice features are all paid.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's not an equivalent.
Yeah.
Hopefully the guy who leaves GitHub decides to come back with another option that competes with himself or competes with GitHub.
Yeah, but I'm sure when he leaves or part of the sale, he's going to have a non-compete. That's probably
Non-compete, yeah, absolutely.
like 4 years.
Well, I mean, he already technically left. He's not really. They really couldn't force him because if he already left, because he's still technically there, still helping, but in as far as the books go, he's not.
Is he still a chairperson? Is he the chairperson?
Does he own part of the company? I mean, he's going to get paid for the sale.
He owns. Yeah, he's still. I don't know if he's not part of the board or not, but he is. He's still in the role of CEO, and he does have equity. Yes.
If he's got equity, they'll put a non-compete on him.
Yeah, probably. That's a good point.
Like, I'm pretty sure if they do that, they're going to cover all their bases.
Yeah. I mean, this is part of Microsoft's master plan. They want to get GitHub this summer and this fall. They're going to go ahead and take down Canonical.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Canonical is too important.
Right.
I'm pretty sure if they can buy GitHub, they can pay a few $100 million for Canonical or whatever they want.
I think Canonical is different because I think there's a principal aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like they can buy IPO stuff, but an IPO never gets control. Like there's like the company still has controlling interest at all times. So I don't think there's like people who freak out that IPO is going to get Microsoft's going to start doing control. Like no, they'll probably buy some shares. That's almost guaranteed, but they're not going to have controlling interest at all. Because I would be shocked if they didn't buy some shares. We should go in and buy Destination Linux shares from Canonical when it goes. Yeah.
Before Microsoft gets them all.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you ever finish your whole self spiel? Like, I think we moved on. Like you just said Kdenlive Live and that was it. We moved on.
That's pretty much what happened. Yes.
Well, so finish.
I mean, I'm not the type of person to talk about themselves all the time.
Of course. I mean, I know, but struggle through it, will you, Michael?
Okay. Okay. So what happened was, so anyway, I'm going to be doing a Kdenlive Live talk about like the beginner aspects of learning how to use Kdenlive Live and getting through the learning curve of some of the weird quirkiness, and then also into the more advanced techniques, for example, of how to do transitioning from one video to another without doing like a basic fade transition. We're more of using a video as a layer between another video and another video. So like that kind of like advanced transitionings and stuff like that.
So is this going to be able to be watched by anybody after? Is this being videoed?
I have no idea.
So you could do this fabulous talk, and
it will be fabulous,
and none of us would be able to see it.
If you're itself, you can.
Okay.
I don't know if like last year, Self did have recordings of each talk, and they put them up on YouTube. I don't know if they're doing it this year or not. I mean, based on their track record, they will.
Yeah, but you should record it yourself, and then you should put it on your Patreon.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I mean, I have to have a way to get someone to record it for me. I might just have elect.
You could literally hand your phone to anybody out in the audience, and they could record it for you.
Who?
Yeah, but they do have my phone.
Oh no, because they got to have a free hand to take notes.
Exactly. It's very important.
If I was taking Michael's class, I'd be taking like 1,000 notes.
Yes.
Because whatever you say about Michael, he knows where his towel is. Just to complete the... Thank you, Barb. I appreciate that.
See, I would never laugh at that joke because it's accurate too.
Don't panic.
But so I mean, anyway, it's more of like I submitted a couple talks, like 3 or 4, and they chose the Caden Live one. So,
What other talks did you submit?
One was marketing for open source projects. The other one was OBS. Like same thing that Caden Live is, but for OBS stuff, like teaching people how to use OBS and going beyond that, because OBS is awesome, very powerful, but it's also really confusing in the beginning.
Yeah, it's complicated too. I mean, how long is this talk going to be?
Like an hour? Probably not enough for OBS.
It's definitely not going to be enough, dude.
Yeah, that's fair. But it's kind of like I created my This Week in Linux OBS setup is insane. There's like probably let's see, 40 scenes. Each scene has at least 12 sources, and some of them have up to 25 sources. And there's also, I built a custom variable structure so I can use I can use elements as like a global variable from one scene into every other scene, and then manipulate them like individually from one thing as like a base scene. So I learned a lot of ridiculous cool things about OBS. So I could teach a class about that too. It's not really a class, I guess, but I just wanted to. I figured the first time I go to a conference for self should also be the first time I do a talk at a conference, right? Makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not excessive adding, extra work.
No, it's not adding any pressure or anything.
Yeah, it's a normal thing. People do that. People do the first time and then add, work on top of the first time they do something.
So do you have any idea how many people this will be in front of?
I have no idea. Absolutely none.
So it could be,
but because because Tux Digital is part of the branding on who's making the class, I think it's going to be everyone.
Oh, everyone. Yeah.
There's going to be standing room only, and everybody's going to be like right next to each other. Mm-hmm. I'm not exaggerating or nothing.
I booked my flight like months ago.
Yeah, he just to be on the thing, even though he had no idea I was doing it.
Nope, that's right. Months ago.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it, but I'll catch the video if you're able to make one.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I'll make some convert the talk into like just segment videos of teaching the various different pieces. So, I mean, it's going to happen. The content will be out there regardless, at least. How that comes to fruition, I do not know. But,
and I guess we'll have to wait to find out. We're going to try to do something specific for Destination Linux down there. So,
I mean, we can say if you want to say. I'm not going to say like the full details, of course, but like if you want to say it, I'm okay with
do it.
Okay, so we're going to do a live stream of Destination Linux from Self.
No way.
Yeah. So on top of the first time I'm going to Self and the first time I've been to a Linux conference in like 4 or 5 years, and the first time I'm doing a talk at a conference, let's do a live stream at a conference too. Because why not?
I hope the network connection is good. So,
I've already talked with the people, and they're going to hook us up with a solid one. So, yep. Okay. No problem. I plan things ahead of time, at least by like 2 days.
I was just making sure you weren't going to show up and on the fly. Let's go ahead. Yeah.
2 days.
I normally would have done that if it didn't require someone else to help me do it. Set up the connection. Like for my stream, I'll just show up and it's like, hey, did I
hope the Wi-Fi is good?
I might have prepared today. Who knows?
Well, Ryan's been grabbing some extra equipment to, I guess, talk to people down there and do some videos. So,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
It should be pretty exciting.
We're gonna have some videos. We're gonna do some streaming. We're gonna just embrace the selfness.
Well, This week on Destination Linux, you're not going to be there, right, Michael?
That is correct.
And Zeb is not going to be there, so we will have people stepping in for Michael and Zeb, and you guys will have to wait to hear about that, but definitely going to have people stepping in for them. So
very big shoes to fill.
I think they can handle it.
Probably. Since I'm aware of who it is, yes, probably.
We're being very cryptic here, but you know. Oh yeah.
There's lots of plans.
Plans in the works
for all kinds of new exciting content.
Well, I see Wintelburst is in the chat. He said he finally did a fresh install of Fedora 28.
Yeah, I was just responding to him. Finally, he's been needing to update that for like 2 months now.
Right? He kept staying on 27. Oh well. Yeah, I know.
Oh wow, Terry says if Michael's going to make the video himself, will the content still be relevant in 2021?
Wow.
Wow. If that wasn't a possibility, I'd be offended by that. But since it's possible, I'll just go ahead. Yep. I was not late to my own stream again or anything.
Hey, where did Joe go? Joe went somewhere.
Yeah, he dropped out. I'm not sure. Did you send out a notification for a stream and then didn't show up for it?
He might have.
No,
something about. Okay, good.
Technically. So what happened was, I clicked the button to start the stream
by accident.
No, and then someone came in to my office to ask me a question, and it took me like 2 minutes to answer it. So I had to like click the button to turn and cancel it, answer the question, and then I clicked the button to go again. So the first minute or two, no, there wasn't a stream, but then like a minute later there was. So.
But the question is, how did you answer that question in under 2 minutes?
I didn't want to answer the question, so I just. if I want to answer the question, it'll be like 3 hours for sure.
Oh my gosh,
that's a fair point.
Hey, if anybody in the stream is seeing the actual video like pop down and go back up, that's me playing around, and the GNOME activities is coming up. Just so you know, so you're not going crazy. I didn't have.
You were hating on KDE
earlier. I didn't have this problem on Budgie. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hey, Rocco, you know what you wouldn't have that problem on? OpenBox.
Yeah, but I probably would be like not enjoying it either.
You would not have that problem on Nano Linux either. Or using anything else. Yeah.
No.
Have you heard of Nano Linux?
Never.
It's an insane. You know how Tiny Core is excessively small, like 50 megs for the entire distro running.
I love Tiny Core. It's pretty awesome.
Nano Linux is 11 megs.
Why so bloated?
Right? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. It needs something lightweight. So, like, why would they make such like 11? Why couldn't they do 9?
But what is the point of that? Like,
is it really just to run Nano?
Yeah, is it the kernel and Nano and nothing else?
It uses it's actually a desktop. It's Nano Linux is purely in the name of like nanometer kind of thing, and it's absurd because it's a bootable desktop. It has a browser. It has a file manager. It has a text editor. It has all kinds of stuff. All of it is really esoteric and tiny and very little limited features. Like the browser only supports HTML2. So it's like what?
Is it still using Netscape?
No, it's some.
I was going to say HTML2 is Dillo territory.
It's Dillo.
It literally says Dillo web browser.
Yeah, it's Dillo.
It only requires 14 megabytes of disk space.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like 11 megs of RAM or something or some ridiculous.
Do you even have a desktop?
Just loads the whole thing into RAM.
Yeah.
It's what the heck?
It would be great if Michael did a stream from it one day.
Guaranteed, I could totally load up OBS and everything.
And it would be tearing up the place.
Just when I first found it, I was like, this can't be real. And then I loaded it and I was like, oh wow, it actually works. What?
Derek, there's your next review, Nano Linux.
Yeah. I'm gonna check that one out. I'm gonna get right on that as soon as we're done here.
Honestly, looking at it visually reminds me of ColibriOS, if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't heard that
one.
So that's the an OS written in assembly. So it's like super tiny.
Naturally.
Yeah. Or Menuet OS. They're very similar. They're even like, I think they're even smaller than 11 megs. Like the download for Menuet, let's see, is, I don't know, something pretty small.
I love that their window manager is called SLWM for Super Light Window Manager.
Oh, BusyBox. Got its own Xorg implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Yowzers.
Yeah, it's crazy that it actually works. I mean, it's not reliable of any kind of like actual daily usage or anything, but
all right.
It sounds like they were so concerned with if they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
No, I think this is an example of should we? Mm-hmm. Of course we should.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I love that even on the Wikipedia page for the web browser Dillo, it basically calls out the fact that it supports CSS rendering.
Yeah, it's CSS1, by the way.
Hey, we ship Dillo on Annex, and it's stupid fast for reading FAQs. I'm just saying.
It is insanely fast because it can only basically use text.
Yeah, it is awesome. But using Gmail and Dillo is an exercise in frustration.
Going to any website that uses JavaScript, you're just gonna
one of our guys actually wrote a utility where you could select a URL for a video, a YouTube video, for instance, and in Dillo, and then it would play in an M-Player window off to the side, just because just proving that you get by with Dillo.
Yeah. Well, that's what you end up having to do in terminal-based web browsers. You click the link and it opens in VLC or M-Player.
Oh yeah. Oh, the same utility works in E-Links, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. Not only am I surprised people have heard of Dillo, I'm surprised people are using Dillo. Like that's
yeah, that was strange to me too. Yeah.
But I mean, I tried using links for a while when my computer was pretty low on RAM, and it was actually like semi plausible to read, info pages and stuff like that.
It's actually not bad if most of what you're doing is text anyway. Yeah, you don't really need the images and the ads and all that. So.
All right, guys. There's anyone who's running Cosmic, you can install Dillo right out of the PPAs.
Wow!
Right, it's fantastic. I can't
Let me get on that.
I am right now. I'm installing it.
When I first heard of it, I think someone tried to troll me, and it's like they sent me to their website, and they were like, I was like, this is absurdly broken. Like this is a terrible site. He was like, yeah, but it works in Dillo. Like what? I was like, oh, okay. So you did the 1990s. This best viewed in this browser, and you chose Dillo to do.
There's no images on the page because back then the internet speeds were so slow.
Okay, there's not even a URL bar in this thing.
Right.
So I think we've come full circle because the Wikipedia
go.
page has SourceForge as the website homepage.
I think there's a navigation bar, but you have to make it display. Like
we have it displayed by default in Annex, I think, but I think there is one. Because I think the way that we had to do links, we could actually select the links in the navigation bar. I don't think there's a cut and paste for the links. You can't copy a link. I don't think you have to put it in the navigation bar and copy it that way.
Wow, even the Google homepage is one, it loads, which I'm kind of surprised about. Let's see what happens here when I actually search.
So the download ISO for Nano is 18.9 megabytes.
Mm-hmm. They've added extra weight. Wow.
I'm telling you, 14 to 18.
Yeah. To be fair, the last time I looked at it was a couple of years ago. So maybe
it's
they
probably
found
the
some-
kernel. Yeah, the kernel's getting bigger. So
Yeah.
I'd say it's pretty damn small, but that's trademarked somewhere else. So.
no. It may still be trademarked, but damn small Linux has been damn dead for about 6 years.
Well, Rocco, your site loads in it.
Awesome.
Doesn't
I'm
look
surprised. I'm very surprised.
Doesn't look horrible actually, because the font rendering's pretty good. It's very text based, but
Don't load mine.
all right, hold on.
I don't expect much for that one.
That's how I rate websites now, is based on how they load in Dillo.
I'm sure a lot of web developers keep Dillo on hand just for this.
This will be Dillo certified.
You get a 3 out of 5 on the Dillo scale.
Yowzers.
Like, I test a lot of browsers, but
not Dillo.
That is not going to be one.
You need to make sure it loads in links and looks good. So.
Do you have a ticket reporter there, Michael? I'm going to start saying it doesn't work in Dillo. I'm just going to keep opening the same ticket.
I'll just leave it open forever. That's all right.
Ooh, uses Nano X instead of Xorg. Ooh.
Yeah, they have their own implementation of Xorg. Yeah, it's weird. But I mean, to be fair, if you had Xorg, that would be like the entire, like it would be more than the rest of the entire system.
Yeah, it would.
Oh, a lot more. Yeah.
So like, I think they only use like the bits and pieces of X that just to make the thing run.
So I just looked it up, and Tiny Core Linux's Tiny Core release is 16 megabytes. So I think there's some competition.
Head-to-head action.
Smaller than
but that's the ISO before it's been installed.
Right.
If anyone loads this browser, just go to YouTube.
It's crazy.
All it is it says skip navigation, it says sign in and search, and there's this ginormous full page form.
That's
So you're not going to watch Netflix on it, is what you're saying?
Not easily.
I don't think at all. Probably is.
We'll just contact Cisco and see if they'll put the DRM for Dillo.
I was gonna say if we get Winevine for Dillo, we're in business.
But so
Michael, your graphics are a little skewed in this browser.
As intended.
Let's see. Oh my god! And
it's a feature, not a bug.
Holy cow! We got some crazy tiling going on here.
Also a feature.
You really need this to be able to display on Pentium 2s from 128 megs of RAM here. You gotta support these guys. There's a lot of them left. 32-bit. Oh wait a minute, there aren't any more 32-bit distributions.
The screenshot of the
except Debian
of the desktop.
There's like 6 still.
The screenshot of the desktop, on,
most of which are Debian based,
on SourceForge has the start menu.
The best part is
it actually says start.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. The green square was start on it.
If you didn't know what it was for, yeah.
Yeah, right.
The best part is looking at your visual excellence page, and it looks like it's out of GeoCities.
How dare you? It's Angel Fire. Thank you.
Oh, good call.
That's where he copied it from.
Copied the HTML2.
Yep.
It's his old site from the 90s.
I just like how all the backgrounds in Dillo are gray pages, like it's like the old Netscape. Everything's gray, and the background is the default color instead of white.
It's actually a better thing if you use the dark mode. You have to worry about this weird broken Firefox forms and stuff.
The way
there ain't no GTK theming in stupid YouTube search window always having white and white on white. That's
Rocco was about to ask about Nano. What GTK theme? What icon theme? I mean,
like
very important question.
I'm thinking that's Nano TK is
Can I
probably what it's
move the
running.
buttons around? Can I move the close and minimize around?
Yeah. How's the
It's,
font rendering?
The icons is like the first version of Papyrus. It's called Paper.
Now wait there. They say in their notes that they support true type fonts. They don't say they have any. They just say they support it.
Okay.
Well, they might
So
take up a
how's-
couple megabytes of space.
Like,
you know?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to include those benefits.
yeah, you'll triple the size of the distro throwing in the Ubuntu font family.
Yeah, just do bitmap fonts. That's all you do.
How's the kerning on the fonts? You know, maybe we should do a review of that.
Slate,
just the kerning
Slate,
itself.
okay.
Kerning on fonts. I'm gonna throw rocks at people.
Ooh, Tux Chess. You can play Tux Chess on it though.
You know, as much as you stare at a computer screen, Dolphin, I bet font rendering matters a lot more to you than.
You know, it's funny. We had when we were working with the Whisker menu theming, and the guy's like, "Well, I've got this font issue." So I said, "Okay, show me a screenshot." And he puts a screenshot on there. It says before the settings change and after the settings change. I swear to God, I could not tell the difference between the two screenshots. Nothing. I don't know if it's my eyes, my monitor, what it is.
Certain
So
distros.
I literally just blindly put the settings in and sent it out to everybody. Said, "You guys tell me what it looks like." And
I don't know. I can
They're
tell the
like,
difference
okay.
on certain distros. I mean, I love Debian, big Debian fan, but the fonts don't look great in Debian.
look, I can tell when you turn anti-aliasing off,
Yeah.
but after that, it's kind of a mismatch for me. But
I mean-
XFCE has that nice little bug that even if it's enabled by default, the anti-aliasing, unless you have deliberately turned it on, at least XFCE 412, unless it's deliberately switched on in the xfcomp XML files, it's not checked. So everybody's like, "Well, you don't have anti-aliasing on." Well, yeah, I do because it's the default, but the box isn't checked because for some reason XFCE didn't check the box. So now I just set the stupid thing ahead of time and load up another default XML file, and it looks exactly the same, but everybody's happy because anti-aliasing is enabled.
That's a feature, you know. It's not a bug.
Yeah. So speaking of like the screenshots about what you couldn't tell, we need to do the Rocco test. Rocco test.
The Rocco test. What is that?
Oh, he would be able to tell.
Is there maybe there's a slight pixel off from one of the font, like just like the corner of one of the letters, and say
It might have been something like, I should have consulted. Honestly,
You should have.
If there is anybody who can help with that kind of issue, it would be Rocco. At least detecting it.
I don't know how to fix it, but I can tell you it's there.
that's that's half the battle.
There's an extra pixel on this character here.
Hey, and was I not right that the overlay was wrong? Was I not right, Michael?
You want to talk about pixels, Rocco? Wait till the day you start writing code. I can't wait to listen to you pick a freaking font for your code editor.
Oh, yeah. What monospaced font do you like, Rocco?
I don't know. Don't know.
There's only thousands of them, and they all look basically the same. But you'll figure it out.
I will pick one. I can guarantee you that.
Oh no, Terminus bold. That's it.
No,
it's only one font.
Liberation mono.
Liberation mono.
That's
There's
not bad. Yeah, actually, I like the Deja Vu mono.
The best thing is when you choose a non-mono font and you force it to be mono. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, it looks awful.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
So
Comic Sans mono, who's in the chat room.
Okay, where's the kick button?
That's for real professionals.
Kick, remove from chat. Okay, good.
Man,
My son typed an entire paper in Comic Sans the other day for school. And I was like, no, I refuse. You have to go change that font.
And unless he was doing it for trolling, then you just encourage it.
Wingdings mono.
Is that
No. Please no.
EB in the house.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Wingdings, yeah.
Good timing.
Well-
I got to bounce out for a bit. So
Well, you can start the last word because it's 12:27. So, what's your last word, Dustin?
goodbye.
He's a man of few words, everyone.
Solid decision.
Yeah.
No, his last word is Comic Sans.
Can't argue.
All right, later.
See you guys.
Colin, what's your last word?
Ubuntu 18.10.
Ubuntu 18.10. Well, before we go any further, before I forget, Simon's last word was Ubuntu.
Ubuntu 18.10.
Yep. Try it. Check it out. So
yeah, I'm gonna check out the LXQt versions stuff. Like I'm very excited about what's coming with that.
Well, I booted into the live CD and it looks really nice, and it was like super fast. But I just couldn't install it because I kept getting an error. So,
Yeah, he said in chat he's working on that.
Yeah, I told him to send that stuff to me in Telegram so I can actually try it out.
Yeah.
Derek, what's your last word?
GitHub, it's dead to me now.
Dead to you.
Yeah.
What's the new hotness?
And I'm going to GitLab where all the cool kids are moving to. So
I know you want to be like GNOME. I know.
Yeah.
Actually, Debian switched to GitLab, and it's fantastic. Like the previous version that Debian used to have was okay in comparison to what they had. It's fantastic. I mean, there are some things I don't really like about GitLab, but the previous version of like bug reports and commits of Debian was just torture.
As a whole, GitLab has like a lot of really handy features. Like if you look into all their settings and stuff, there's a lot there.
Yeah, but you have to get the most of it. You got to self-host kind of thing, which is not technically bad. But also, Simon pointed out that Fabricator is awesome too. I forgot about Fabricator, and I use it all the time. But Fabricator is great.
Yeah, I've been on Fabricator. That's not too bad.
Yeah. There's certain parts of it that's kind of annoying, but for the most part, it's pretty good.
That's the one Solus uses, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Robbo, last word?
Pulse Audio rocks tonight.
Every night.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What was it?
Oh, yeah. You were cutting in and out, dude. What did you say?
All I know is when the stream starts and that little ding goes to tell me Rocco's connecting me to the stream, my volume goes to 100%. So I go, like that, And
yeah, thank you.
That's Alsa's fault.
Pete.
I don't know whether I'll be here next week because I'll be at Self.
Oh, you're going to
Self? Give yourself. See,
I'll have a camera with me.
You will or won't?
I will.
There you go.
Will you record Michael's talk?
Do you plan on being at my talk?
Probably.
Okay.
Well, of course, Michael. That's a silly question. I mean,
fair. That's fair. Good point. Okay.
And
it's hard to argue with that one.
Noah's doing the OBS talk right before you.
Yeah, that might be one. His is more of he's going to have OBS in it, with some streaming and stuff like that, but he's also going to be like a lot of audio stuff too. I talked to him about it, but I was like, hey, your topic looks basically the same as mine. He's like, yeah, the phrasing wasn't the perfect example. I was like, oh, okay, so it's not exactly the same back to back. That's good.
all right, so going to Self, make sure you record Michael, okay? So we can
I would appreciate
save it for
not at
all
times,
the future
that
generations.
Might be creepy, but most times it's fine.
Matthew, last word.
Fine farewell.
Dig it. Dolphin.
Annex 17, the best live USB on the planet. No pulse audio included.
Nice. Well, Zeb usually takes care of this for me, but my last word is check out Destination Linux. What were we up to? Episode 73. Coming up, it'll be released Friday. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to do a live stream tomorrow or not. We haven't figured that out yet, but maybe we'll be live, maybe we won't. So there you have that. At least that's settled.
Yep. That's maybe and maybe. Perfect.
All right. Thanks for everybody showing up, and we'll catch you all
Thanks
next
all.
week.
TextureShow.com.
See you later.
See you all.
Peace.
It had to be said. It had to be in there. The only way you can end the stream properly is to mention our show. That's it.
Flash Amazon.